see how
Jesus.
my OBS works now.
Setting that up was a nightmare.
What the hell were you using
Jesus.
my OBS that voice effect for?
I was doing voice work for Mary Sue.
Oh, okay. Because that is not a normal thing to use. Alright. My OBS is working live. I got no idea how it sounds, but oh well, you know. This is my new mic though. It's a standard, basic, cheap Blue Yeti USB mic, so I can turn up the gain. I can turn down the gain. It has 4 modes. It has ASMR mode. So they call me the next Amaranth. I gotta drink some water. I did see your message. Oh.
Okay, how does the volume sound right now?
I can hear you. Finally.
Okay, yeah. All
Yeah.
right, so perfect. Noise gate is on, so that should be pretty good. There's something in your settings that I forget what you have to do, but there's something you have to mess with in order to get the audio as crisp as this.
Yeah.
Because what microphone do you have?
It's literally like the $40 or $60 Blue Yeti.
Yeah, yeah. There's got to be something that I can't think of where you just set it up. Because I remember it was a nightmare to get the audio sounding as crisp as this.
Yeah, I know I can download some software, but on the mic I have the gain and then 4 different modes and then
Mm,
volume for myself and all that.
gotcha.
Yeah. Alright, so like I
All right,
messaged you before, I have a few topics that I definitely wanted to bring up. Not sure if you have any.
I have like two that come to mind, but first things first, I want to get the main topic to discuss, which is the horrifying story of what happened with the sixth grader.
Yeah, the 11-year-old. Thankfully, there's more news coverage now, but the screenshot I sent you, there was nothing. No news. No news coverage at
Yeah,
all.
a
And
11-year-old committed suicide because she was bullied into thinking that ICE was going to come after her.
yeah,
That is horrifying.
I mean, like, we saw this stuff as soon as Trump got elected. I know you saw the thing on the internet where people would anonymously message black people in other races and being like, the
Hmm.
van is coming for you. Get ready on
Yeah,
Sunday. And this is the result of that.
yeah. This is the prime result of a populace that is constantly fed a stream of right wing perspectives on immigration, constant anti migration rhetoric is, and there is no one challenging that. At
Yeah.
least when it comes to the positions of power within the Democratic Party.
Yeah, like, real quick. Of course, you can talk about the Trump protests. On President's Day, there was a huge protest. Very little media coverage, in my personal opinion, about this.
Oh yeah.
Especially since, they didn't go inside that building like other political party did.
Mm-hmm. Just saying. But I am absolutely not surprised at all at the fact the media is just kind of, and the institution by and large is just kind of wanting to roll over to what Trump's doing,
Mm.
because in the aftermath of Trump's election victory, that's when we really saw how the Democrats and and mainstream old establishment media was going to react. And what we saw was basically nothing. It was nothing. There was not even the 2016, 2017 liberal resistance movement that picked up steam against Trump. There's
Yeah.
just nothing.
Like, you
Like,
got Bernie Sanders, but he's independent for a reason because one side is doing nothing and the
yeah.
other side is
And-
evil.
yeah, it's evil. It's a complete evil. And I always like to emphasize when I'm talking about the Democrats, I'm talking in this context, I'm talking about the powers that be, the people that are on the levers of power within the Democratic Party. Because, like you just mentioned, you have someone like Bernie Sanders, who technically isn't a Democrat, but he is independent, but he still works with the Democratic Party. You have AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Rashida Tlaib, Elon Omar, even Pete Buttigieg, who I have my personal disagreements with, but he still is saying some things.
I'm a
But
big fan of Pete, but yeah.
yeah, but like even outside of like these politicians, there is no motion from like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and Nancy Pelosi, which it's like, yeah, like she retired from the House, but let's be real, she still is one of the main powers that be within the party.
Yeah, you will always have a voice in positions like those, and
Mm.
people are dependent on you to use it.
Yeah, and so what's insane to me is like we have stories like this of
Yeah.
a child, because that's what it is, a child that
Yeah,
killed
not
herself
even
because
puberty. Like,
yeah, like not even puberty. She killed herself because of bullying and whatnot. And the Democrats are just not running with these stories of being like, see, look at the harm that that Trump's policies is creating, that it is leading to suicide. Like, do you think the Republicans, if the shoe was on the other side, you think the Republicans wouldn't try to run with this if it was a case of like a migrant kill like an American
they definitely
citizen?
do.
Yeah,
Like,
and we know that because of the Blake Act or something like that. I forget what it was called.
yeah. So what Democrats are talking about is exactly what we see in the election, where it's Republican agrees with the mostly Democratic left side of
Hmm.
the spectrum, and that's what they're talking about. They aren't talking
Yeah,
about this. They're talking about, hey, this Republican shares our opinion.
and it's just like we don't care. It's like because we could talk about Ukraine too when we get around to it. But
Yeah,
it's just like it's one of those things where it's just like I don't care about what some random geriatric Republican that has no motion in the party says. I just don't care.
yeah. But yeah, like we have very little information about this because no one's covering the story really.
Hmm.
So we just got,
Yeah,
yeah, a mom's grieving and there's bullying. And
yeah,
there's,
and it's like, what's it gonna take for the mainstream media to really start covering stories like this? Because it does generally feel kind of hopeless when you look at the top. In
mm-hmm,
that, like I said, all of establishment media, the Democrats by and large are just refusing to do anything. And I think even like as you know, my politics is very radical. It's completely
mm-hmm.
radical.
Oh, I'm
But
about to say something very radical.
yeah, well, I'm not going to say anything radical personally. I'm just saying when I say this point about like, yeah, I'm very radical in my politics. I can see that myself. But you even have like even more liberal establishments, like grassroots organizations, are just wondering, where is the party? Where are the Democrats?
Yeah, like I see right now a Biden and Kamala sign on with like, is it called CAA? Uh, yeah. This is what we see from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, a Hollywood
Yo,
talent
what is this?
agency. Uh,
Oh my God. And remember, by the way, she's like trying to float the idea of becoming the next governor of California.
I I I forget his name, but Newsom or whatever. I'd much prefer him over Kamala, in my personal
And
opinion.
and the thing is that he also sucks.
Yeah.
But it's like him or Kamala. It's like it's the battle of less than mid there. But one is just way worse.
Mm-hmm. Newsom's also funny.
Oh yeah, it is. It's so funny. It's just like Joe Biden completely fading into the background and doing stuff like this. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys never really took Trump seriously. You just were just saying it just to say it.
Yeah, like I personally really liked her debate with Trump. She said what she had to, but she needs
Hmm.
to keep saying those things right now. It's not the
Yeah,
time to take the moral high ground.
yeah, like I said, I think when it comes to Kamala's campaign, initially she was on a thunder run. She was basically doing all the right things, and then once like the DNC happened, it's like she got hit with the corporate Democrat dart and just started doing the worst things possible of running the worst campaign possible.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
disappointing.
it's super disappointing. Like her debate with Trump was pretty good. Was pretty good overall. Like one thing I could definitely like one thing I would definitely critique her on is the fact is that she did not like criticize Trump when he talked about like Springfield, Ohio, or anything like that. Like
Yeah,
You got to call it out. You can't take the high road because we do not live in decorum times where you just have to let the message speak for yourself. Like, no, you have to call it out. You have to address the point head on.
Yeah, like the one thing I always say about Trump, this is a president that asked if he could shoot U.S. citizens with the military.
Yes.
This is not a president where you want to wait around and take a moral high ground.
No, this is not. This is not the guy where what I assume because the Democrats are trying to do is that they're trying to give the Republican Party enough rope to hang themselves, so that way they can like sweep through the House and the Senate in the coming midterms. But it's like when you're dealing with a party that is openly authoritarian and is having people floating the idea of arresting political opponents because they're exercising their freedom of expression. This is not the time for you to play those type of politics of giving them enough rope to hang themselves, because if you try that, they're going to then just blame you, and then they're going to actually hang you instead.
Yeah, like if your plan is to just let the other political party blow itself up and you do nothing, you are also blowing yourself up.
Exactly, because it's why I tell people this, because like some people, they come up to me and they ask me IRL like what I think is going to happen in the near future, and I tell people this: do not be surprised if the Democrats do not get any new seats in the House or the Senate. Do not be surprised at all if the Republicans somehow maintain control of both houses, of both parts of Congress, because not only are midterms like low turnout in terms of like those are like for people that are like really focused on politics, but it's just a simple fact that a lot of people are going to be like, why am I going to vote for the Democrats if they're just going to do nothing anyway?
Yeah.
Like there's like nothing, like there's not even talks of like policy changes that they would do if they come to power. There's just no motion, and I'm just there watching like, that's not good.
Yeah, so like in our Discord server, every week we see several Republican person wants this and this, like introduce Trump's third term and all that. But we aren't seeing any Democratic liberal people really put anything on the floor or attempt to.
Yeah, it's like at the very least, like even if it's gonna die in committee or whatever, at least try to go to the public to have a conversation about it. Like, god damn, is it that hard?
Like that is how you get people rally behind you. You gotta show what you're gonna do for them, and even if it doesn't work out, that's how you find that people believe in your cause and, have their own rallies, own public rallies for what you're trying to get into Congress with.
And it's like the Democrats, they talk about like how like, oh, well, we don't control anything in the House or Senate or Supreme Court. And it's like, okay, well, you still have, if I remember correctly, they have 47 senators in the Senate, and the House is like almost split 50-50.
Yeah, like
it is not a case where it's like
makes such a big difference right now.
Yeah, it's not a case where it's like the Republicans swept, where it's like they control like 65 seats in the Senate and they are just running through the House with like almost a 50 seat plus majority or 100 seat plus majority. It's very thin majorities, and so you have the motion to form your party to get to, at the very least, show that you guys are going to do something.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do anything, then you're going to have more little girls that are going to off themselves because they just see no hope. They see no hope.
Yeah. Like, no hope is the very big thing going on. Like, this is a hate crime. This is, like, as bad as it gets.
Yeah, it's a straight up hate crime.
And
even if those kids aren't bright enough to know that they're doing a hate crime, it's a hate crime. It's a straight up hate crime.
yeah, kids their age, they definitely learn from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if Democrat leadership isn't gonna be doing anything, the least that can happen is the really so-called nobodies, the protesters,
Yeah.
us. The responsibility falls onto us to
Yeah.
teach
Which
kids
is,
like the kids who bully kids like this where they take
mm-hmm.
their own life.
Yeah, it is very dangerous of what the Democrats are playing if they are intending to just give the Republicans enough rope to hang themselves, not just because of the point I mentioned earlier of like how you don't want to play that with a very increasingly authoritarian party,
Yeah, it
but it's
didn't work
also the
during the
fact,
election.
yeah, but it's also the fact is that you're not really controlling the resistance movements that are going to be building under Trump with his policies. Because back in Trump's first term, at the like I said, at the very least, there was an aesthetic to the Democrats resisting Trump at every motion. Every step of the way, they were trying to resist him. When he wanted to do the government shutdown to build the wall, they resisted. When he wanted to get rid of Obamacare, they resisted. There was at the very least an aesthetic that the Democratic leadership was not on board with Trump's policies and they were willing to go to town against him. In the same way that the liberal media also was criticizing him almost every step of the way. But now, because they're not even doing the aesthetic of resisting Trump's policies, you are opening a precedent of decentralized resistance movements where some are going to range from being, which are some are going to range to being pacifists to then outright hostile and aggressive. And you're not going to have any control over that because these people are going to be like, why the hell am I going to listen to you when you've done nothing for me? Go off, go away.
Yeah, like the thing with me is actually I forgot where I was going with this. Oh no, like I understand media wise that Trump is definitely trying to establish control more and more. Like we just saw reports of more media being banned from the White House, like the AP, all that.
And
Like
Axios.
yeah, like we see stuff like that going on, but that just means you gotta write about it. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just take that as yeah, he's gonna silence us. That's gonna happen either way. You gotta write about it.
Yeah, write about it. It's like, hello? Write about it. If he then genuinely tries to go after you, that's a story that you can write about and it will go viral
Mm-hmm.
and it will show how horrible of a person he is. Because the Borders Are guy is trying to actively go after AOC. He is trying to go after AOC because AOC is doing a conservative effort to make it so that migrants and just people in general know their rights in the event that ICE shows up to your door. Like
Yeah.
it is straight up freedom of expression. There is nothing, there's no wiggle room, there's no gray area about it. AOC is just educating people on their rights. And so with this, the border czar is trying to go after her by saying that she can't do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the video I saw. Oh, I don't want the sound. Yeah, they post videos like this. I hate ASMR though.
83,000 cards.
What
But
the fuck?
I have opinions on all
we
83,000
are live on
people.
YouTube, by the way, Omega.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say I have opinions about all 83,000 people who hearted that, and I'm going to keep them to myself.
We are very much live on YouTube. But yeah, wait. Oh, hold on. I got a message. Okay, it's not important. I think. Yeah. So the White House, the official White House, is posting stuff like this. And it's disappointing, man.
Yeah, this is why
I
I
have this
can't. I
post
can't.
for Elon Musk. Like,
Yeah, this is why I can't be on Twitter. I would have some thoughts that I cannot say here.
like it's bad. we
It's
have
very bad.
we have him saying he's the king. We have the White House. Where is it? We have the White House describing him as a king.
And that's AI art too.
It's, so yeah, we got those.
That's the most fucking ironic thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. So we basically covered this as much as we can. Sadly,
Mhm.
there's not enough information.
Yeah, it's not enough information. Democrats are refusing to talk about it, and yeah, it's a tragedy, and unfortunately, it's probably going to happen a lot.
Yeah.
Eventually, I see that there's going to be a high-profile case because someone's going to do it at a high enough level, and then it can't be ignored. The worst case scenario is that someone conducts a school shooting because of that, which is also likely
But
to
even
happen.
then, both sides are just gonna be like, we're sending prayers, and then someone's gonna
Yeah,
say
they don't do shit
something,
about school
and then a
shootings.
celebrity's gonna be like, don't make it political. Somebody died.
Now, what'd you say, Omega?
That's the thing, they don't really do much about school shootings. If they actually did much about school shootings, then there would be less of them. Or
Oh
more.
well. Oh well. America is bizarre world. Our solution to that is there should be more guns in the school because that's definitely gonna
Exactly.
stop a school shooting.
Yeah, it won't.
I just want to say, I love how I had to go to sites like this where it's using almost 2 GB because of all the ads and who knows what else.
There's just so
You don't have
many
an ad
ads.
blocker on?
It's taking 2 GB.
Yeah, I have an ad
Jesus
blocker on.
Christ.
But okay, I gotta say something pretty radical here. It's time. Humans as a whole, but especially in context to all of this, of the United States, we are something born in blood. Every law, every rule, most likely has blood that was spilled, lives that were lost to make that rule. Whether it's airplane deaths and crashes, and those rules being undone, whether it's revolution and such. I'm by no means saying we gotta throw a revolution right now.
I'm sorry, I left for a quick second. What were you talking about?
People, especially the United States, are born in blood. Whether it be rules and stuff like with all the airplane crashes and someone taking away all the regulations and all that, which creates more deaths, more accidents. Whether it's revolution, even though I'm not saying we necessarily need to throw revolution right now.
Wow.
Let's get in there though.
I am listen, I'll just say like this. I was definitely more so of we could reform the system. We could definitely reform the system, and then now I'm starting to lean way more into revolution.
I will say that I wouldn't be surprised if it results in a revolution, considering the shit that's going on in Europe right now.
Yeah, it is. It's a case of America is either going to go full-blown fascism or we are going to go very hard in the opposite direction and be like, oh God, never again.
My point is we're a nation and born in blood. Someone has undone all of that, but has not undone the blood that is lost, which means we are only gonna bleed even more.
Yeah, the social contract currently of America is teetering. It is teetering right now.
Wait, there's a social contract for America right now?
Yes, there is.
There is.
Yes, when I talk about the social contract, I mean like making it so that the whole of a country just doesn't combust into anarchy. The social contract in America, by and large, for a lot of people, goes like this: as long as I can get my sweet treats, and I'm relatively able to have a roof over my head, I'll let the government just kind of just do whatever they want while also saying I don't like the government at the same time. That's the social contract of the US. And so right now it is teetering, and I am very worried about which direction Americans are going to go once the social contract just collapses in on itself.
I think we all are worried about what direction America is going to go.
I mean, that's what me and Danny have been talking about this whole live stream. But
Yeah.
for now, I think we can wrap up the girl.
Yeah. Yeah, we can move on to a more funnier story.
I wouldn't say funnier, but yeah.
No, trust me, it's funny. I looked more into it, and I am like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, for now, let's just say rest in peace, Jocelyn.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably butcher the last name, so I'll just keep it at Jocelyn. Rest in peace. I closed out the other tab.
And so now let's talk about what happened.
We can also close out the protest tab.
Yes.
So this.
Yes. Now we can talk about the funny story.
You didn't think this story was real?
I did not. I genuinely did not, because this sounds like such a Looney Tunes style story.
So this is still hate crime agenda.
It's a hate crime.
But
now, what makes it funny for me is that a lot of media is not going to cover this aspect of it. What I'm going to say is that the guys who got shot, who survived, they then went on social media and then blamed Palestinians for shooting them and said death to the Arabs. It's like, it's literally the Spider-Man meme, except it's with Israelis pointing at each other. Be like, no, you're the Palestinian.
Yeah. And it's only gonna get worse. There's gonna be more Muslim hate, more Arab hate. Like,
I think for now, it's there's already a lot of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism is on the rise. But this story in particular, I think it's just one of those stories where it's just so stupid of how both parties reacted to it that it just does nothing. I think everyone's eventually going to realize, oh, this is just dumb.
Yeah, this story is dumb, but it's not funny when someone actually goes and shoots actual Palestinians.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. It's not funny at all. It's just the story in and of itself in isolation. That's what makes it funny.
But
and this idiot is just like smiling grin for grin, and he told like the police like, "Oh, I killed 2 Palestinians. I killed them." And it's like, "No, you didn't, idiot."
Yeah, this just to show hate crimes are only gonna be worse. Like, this is gonna be hate crimes against the whole Middle East as a whole. Like, we covered hate crime on an 11-year-old, and now it's this. But
yeah, there's gonna be a rise in hate crimes, especially with the fact that Palestinians in Gaza rightfully are telling Trump, "No, we're not leaving Gaza."
And once again, like you said, the media isn't gonna cover this, and you can already see that. Like, this doesn't have CNN, this doesn't have Fox, it doesn't have any of those. This is all Middle East, Israel, the New Arab, and the high democracy stuff. Like, media isn't gonna cover this. They're gonna be silent.
They're always going to be silent because they're just gonna talk about literally just the big stories for them that isn't too controversial, even though you're dealing with the most controversial president in American history, up there next to James Buchanan.
Like, I know he wants MSNBC, I believe. He wants it gone. He wants 60 Minutes gone. Elon Musk is also shout on that. All because they weren't with him during the election. They were against him.
And also Elon Musk wants to get rid of Wikipedia because Wikipedia is operated and funded completely independent.
Yeah, the stupid memes are just like Doge just coming for Wikipedia. Like, no, it's not.
Okay, like literally, how is it gonna come from Wikipedia? Like, good luck.
Yeah, these people are idiots. But this is one of the stories that really just the headline is all you need. Like, we really don't need to go too much more into this.
Yeah, it's literally one of the stupidest idiots with that face. It's like I really wonder, like, how did he react when he was told that, yeah, idiot, you were shooting at your own people.
I saw that new picture on Twitter.
He's probably like one of those people who thinks that Jewish people are just solely came from are like Ashkenazis, like from Europe, and he's never heard of a Maserati Jew, which are Jewish people that used to live around most of the Middle East, that were still in the Middle East for centuries, and then eventually moved to Israel.
I saw a new mugshot image of this guy, and I don't think I can find it, but he was facing to the right, and you could actually see the frown in his lips. But yeah,
maybe because then you realize that, yeah, you shot at like two innocent. They're innocent regardless. Was like, yeah, you shot two Jewish people, you idiot.
Yeah. How you gonna be such a Zionist? You shoot other Jew, like.
Yeah. He literally just saw like a bunch of brown people in a car and was like, oh, they gotta be Palestinian, I guess.
In a car. Oh, all right.
Like there was nothing running there in that brain when he saw them. He just was like, yeah, no, Maserati Jews are not a thing. So they gotta be Palestinians.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that's that.
Mm-hmm.
We could go to one of your topics, or we can cover what you could probably see me going on here with.
What's this? Oh yeah, I think my dad talked about briefly talked about this issue about like how, yeah, there's like there was like a massive severe flooding and 16 people were dead while Trump was like doing wheelies with the Secret Service vehicle, I think.
He's golfing right now, and then he went to what is thing?
NASCAR?
Yeah, the NASCAR thing, the 500. The Daytona 500.
Mm-hmm.
So like we have him here, we have him flying in a plane over it. It costs like a immense amount of money for him to even go there. And people point out, isn't this what Doge should be cutting? But then we get this. And sadly, there is no JFK situation here, so. So, we're still
anyway.
So, this going on. He's golfing today. This is like his third day in a row golfing. On a weekday.
This generally feels like this country's on the brink. I swear to God, it generally feels like this is the prelude to something like worse happening in this country. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it generally feels like a prelude, like a terrorist attack, or Trump is just gonna do something really stupid, or natural disaster is just gonna really mess things up.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy. Like, so many media outlets covering this have a smaller number in the headline, and then you click on it, you read it, and then it's a higher number in the article.
Mm-hmm.
So many of these headlines are already misleading. And it happened a month ago. You know?
Yeah, but I am just some like, it's so bad.
So then you go, and you're like, oh, what is that? You know, our government agency for natural disasters and all that gonna do. So, you know, you check up on the news about it. Oh, firings. Loss of employees.
He is like Elon Musk and Trump. and Trump are genuinely trying to run the federal government as if it's just a big giant company. And it's like, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works.
Right-wing propaganda being fake. This, and fire. You know? So,
Like, we're gonna have, like, chickens are gonna come to roost. That's one thing I know. With him like cutting FEMA and all that, there's eventually a disaster is gonna happen, and it's gonna be like Louisiana or Texas. Like a hurricane is just gonna batter a red state horribly, and then there's not gonna be any FEMA to respond, and Bedlam is just gonna start.
This is such a good movie. I don't care what the reviews say. This is such a good movie.
Geostorm?
It's such a good movie. There's these two brothers. One of them creates the whole, basically a planetary shield, and it has cloudy of a chance of meatball technology that controls the weather, and then the government's, like, it goes bad. You find out that U.S. government has something to do with it. I'm gonna spoil it right now. The U.S. president caused it to go haywire so he could buy out other land, like in the Middle East and all that.
Oh god, that's so stupid. That's so stupid.
Like that's basically the whole twist ending, and it
That's
makes
a
you
very
think it, like, for most of the movie you think it's his personal security guard and all that. But no, it's the president.
That's like so Trumpian right there to do.
This was made in 2017 too.
It's like Trump, if Trump had the technology of that, he would be like, if the Gazans don't want to leave, I'm gonna unleash a geostorm. I'm gonna do it.
So I recommend
Geostorm.
watch I really do.
And then of course, eventually all people would be like, oh, Mr. Trump, that also would affect Israel as well. And you're like, no, I don't care.
Yeah. This. Not sure if you saw the recent post I linked in the Discord political chat, but
What? Wait, what? What is he doing? Yeah, there's no way that's gonna happen.
so once again,
Mr. Frog just announced his plan to fix the economy. Man, he is good.
Girl, I'll show that toad bastard an ergonomic plan. Hello, America. I'm going to be the money president. Each and every one of you get $1 billion each, so you can all be rich.
Whoa, what are you doing? You can't do that. You'll crash the economy.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Everybody's going to have to give back all that money to the government. By the way, sorry about those loud noises. That was just from my diaper. I don't want to have another accident from the bad lamp. All better.
Dude, check the news. It doesn't matter what channel.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
I love Smiling Friends. It's the other thing I recommend people.
A $5,000 check.
That's life-changing money to me, honestly.
It is. However, you cannot run on being against insane spending of talking about inflation and all that, and then you're gonna do a $5,000 check for every American. There's no way that's real. There just cannot be any way.
Please say I can just use this. I don't think I'll be able to find the image, so I want to make it. You know the image where it's like 3 people behind a fence trying to watch a ball game, and then it brings in the crates.
Right. I believe so.
And it's basically supposed to be like, not everyone can live off 1 crate. Some people need 2 crates.
I think okay.
Like you get the image I'm
I
trying.
think I do.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna give up on trying to make it. But that's basically what's going on here. This
Okay.
$5,000 is the one crate to see the ball game, but the
By
little
the
people
way,
still can't see it.
I did the math on if he is insane enough to try to give $5,000 to every American, that would be $1.7 trillion.
Yeah.
And Doge said we found like 55 billion. That's not even 1%.
No, I think the Doge report said something like, in the top right, what it actually was like 8 million, but then they like edited it and then they tried to make it seem like it was 8 billion. So like there's some fraud going on in that, and
I mean, of course, it's fraud. It's Elon Musk. But like, even if let's say they did like half that number of like, let's say 170 million people got that check, that still is That still is like $850 billion.
Yeah, it's pretty whack. And the Smiling Friends kind of predicted this, and they're just a bunch of YouTubers. So.
It's like that is incredibly unfeasible currently.
Yeah, it's insane.
Because something is gonna have to go because I'm not entirely against the idea of what's it called? There's a technical term to it. Andrew Yang ran on it. What is it? Alaska has it too.
I'm checking.
But basically, it's the idea of like giving Americans like $1,000 a month or something like that. It's like I'm not against that. However, you do need to have a robust tax system in order to make it so that that program can be funded. And the only way you're going to do that is you're not going to go after the average American to fund that because their taxes are just going to be effectively raised even more. You have to go after the billionaire class.
But that's not what they're going to do. They're going to go after the programs that help like the mentally challenged and all that in school systems and all that.
Which is funny because again, it's that barely is covering anything they're saving. If you really want to go after like bloat, you would go after the military industrial complex, which we know they're never gonna do.
And for the sections where they are going like that, like when it comes to all these planes and all that, their fix is Elon Musk is gonna take it.
It's like they're not even trimming fat. They're barely trimming anything at all. If they're trying to go for saving
Musk more money and disguising it as he's giving America more money, and they're making these issues and saying they have the answers when they abolish the answers. They, like I said with the we're born in blood and we're gonna bleed more. That's what's going on.
Yeah, screw it. It's like screw it. Do the $5,000 check hold at this point. Like that money's not going to be anything in like a year or now or whatever because of all the prices are going to go haywire.
Yeah, he's gonna crash the economy that he already destroyed. Comparing eggs with Sue, it's hilarious.
Yeah, so the conversation went like this when Sue asked you about it. I was talking with him and I asked him about how much are egg prices in the UK. And he said it's like 330, I think.
Like America.
Yeah. And then I told him the prices here, and he was just like, "That is abhorrent. That is horrible."
And that's if you find eggs. Yeah, things aren't going good. But kind of got way off track this stuff, but still covered it.
Things are not going good, and a lot of people, and unfortunately, it's going to take things to get even worse for a lot of people to realize how bad things are. A lot of like Trump currently, I think, has like a 53% approval rating, which is the highest he's ever had in his political career. And the reason why it's that high, I am like 90% sure of that, is because people are like, oh, he's doing stuff. And if he's doing stuff, it must be good.
Yeah. But no one's educated.
Nope, no one is educated. Like, a lot of people are running on the idea that, oh, he changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And I'm just like, okay. And what does that do for eggs, for egg prices? What does that do for your average groceries?
If anything, it will only raise them because you're pissing off Mexico.
It's just so dumb. And it just really does seem like a lot of people are just gonna have to see things just get worse until they realize, like, yeah, no, Trump is actually bad.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna get to an echo chamber for being like, yeah, Democrats need to say more, but we're just gonna repeat. So, with that, do you have more stuff you would like to add on to topics, like any Ukraine, all that?
Yeah, we could talk about Ukraine, where that's also is very interesting, because in my view, all Donald Trump is doing currently is just saying the quiet part out loud of what the U.S. was already intending to do.
Yeah. News is already coming rapid fire, as you can see, so that's why I didn't even search it up beforehand on my list. But if you got something certain to talk about, I'll type it in, or you can send me a link.
Yeah. I don't really have anything really to send, because I'm just going off the cuff. Like, one thing I find also interesting too is just the fact is that I think, what was it, like, Trump is asking Zelensky like $500 billion worth of resources of Ukraine. And I remember, like, some of the news media like, oh, Trump is wanting to do colonization, like he's just wanting to colonize Ukraine. And my immediate thought process is just like, what, you think like the Democrats or Biden was not going to try that as well? Like, we sent, I think, what was it? How much did we send to Ukraine? Like, I think over $100 billion worth
Trump
of.
claims it was 200 billion.
Yeah, like 100 billion, 200 billion. Okay, I don't think it was more than Europe, but okay. But still, it's like we sent a lot in terms of resources. It's like, you think the chickens were gonna come home to roost? You think we were just doing it out of the kindness of our heart? It's like, no. America does not function off of doing stuff out of the kindness of their heart.
Like, yeah, there would have been, you gotta pay us back, you know, and especially after the conflict, probably be told to disarm and still, you know, go back to elections after we declare the conflict is over, not them.
Yeah.
And then they will be allowed to join NATO. That's probably what would have happened.
Probably. The thing is that it's just like Ukraine, like, a lot of people were just like, oh, Ukraine is going to have to determine their own destiny. It's like, dude, that doesn't exist. Ukraine does not have any control over its destiny in the end, because the United States is the global hegemonic power. We are a declining hegemonic power, but we still are the powers that be. So ultimately, if the United States wants this war over, which it seems like it's rapidly becoming the reality, it's clipped. It's done.
Yep. Like, you either need United States or the rest of NATO to fight back against Russia.
Yeah, and it's like, it's clipped. It's done. Like, Poland,
they weren't allowed to join NATO.
Yeah, like Poland is not gonna. Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, they can talk all the smoke they want about what they'll do to Russia here and there, but when the reality hits that they gotta foot the bill, they ain't doing anything. They're not doing crap.
It's gonna be too late by the time they strike.
Yeah, there's already talk about like how the peace deal is gonna have like, I think, 200,000 troops in Ukraine as peacekeepers. And they're going to be like EU troops. And of course, immediately, you then see the truth of it. Like, Poland is refusing to foot the bill. for that, because I think the upkeep would be about like $300 billion a year, something crazy like that. Poland's refusing to foot the bill. Germany also is refusing to also foot the bill. France is also denying wanting to foot the bill. So these people are then actually revealing themselves of what their priorities are, and it's not for Ukraine. It's about getting a profit out of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the situation. It's a constantly evolving situation, but this is Trump's latest speech about it.
Like, he's blaming Ukraine for starting the war, which is like, okay, man.
He introduces Zelensky. Like,
I will say one thing about Zelensky, though, is that he is increasingly becoming very unpopular within Ukraine. That is one thing I have noticed, is that a lot of Ukrainians do not like Zelensky at all.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
And so with Trump tweeting that, it is just him preaching to the choir in Ukraine is what he's trying to do, because he knows Zelensky is no longer popular within his country.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, eventually there's going to be a different leader, but I hope he still goes down as a hero.
I think initially he's going to be seen as initially he's going to be seen as like the leader who like refused to like surrender initially, but ultimately lost the war, because that is what he did. He did lose. It just seems like he kind of ultimately just lost the war.
Like, from here, the only way he's going to be viewed in a good light again is when Russia does try to go into places like Poland. Places where people
well, if they go into places like Poland, that's clip. Europe is done for, because France and the UK are gonna launch nukes.
Yeah,
like Trump could try to.
Wherever they can, especially the not NATO things, but it's only gonna get worse. It's not stopping at Ukraine.
I think my hot take on that, though, is that Russia is incredibly exhausted from this war. That if they even try to do anything else going forward, it's just gonna be a nightmare for them.
Like, yes, but the thing is, their leader is Putin. And
yeah, their leader is Putin.
Time after time,
their leader is Putin.
The bread is about to be cut, which only makes him more dangerous.
True. However, the thing is with Putin is that despite it being Putin, when he initially started this war in Ukraine, he wasn't popular at all. There was dissent in Russia. And then when he did that massive draft order, Russia almost caved in on itself. And then you had Prigozhin happen. So he's not invincible.
Yeah.
He has to be very, very careful with how he operates.
I remember when I did my current events class in high school, my senior year, so a few years ago, like 3, I covered the major political rival to Putin in Russia and all the assassination attempts against him. And,
yeah, Navalny.
Yeah, that dude. Did a mass project on him. And we just need more of him. Just like we need Democrats to speak here, we need people to speak against fascism, all against the world, because it's not just America, it's not just Russia. Liberal Party in Canada got a little bit of boost, all thanks to Trump, ironically enough, but
they have their own fascists creeping up there too. That's why I say that the world is going fascist. Well, particularly the Western world, because liberalism as a mode of thought in terms of the status quo norm of how the economy and everything is supposed to work, it is dying.
Yeah.
We are in the last throes of liberalism, and what replaces that is rapidly becoming, unfortunately, a fascist way of thought, which is concerning. and it's gonna take it's gonna take something drastic to alter that course. And and unfortunately for the world, it's gonna have to be something in America because, like I said, the America is the global hegemonic power, and so when something happens here, it starts radiating to other places on the planet.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good. Like, we need change very quickly, or it's gonna get way too bad, and
Yeah,
there's just gonna be more blood spilled that was already spilled in the past.
and it's like we saw how Trump's first term ended with it was an utter disaster, and how it ended. Impeachment, the George Floyd protest, the Gestapo police going after protesters, January 6th, like almost a million Americans dead because of COVID.
And
It was a utter disaster with how his first term ended. And so,
cutting the CDC, all that, we got out of
which
the
is
World Health Organization.
cutting the CDC too is like so stupid, because it's like, even if you think like they shouldn't report anything or anything like that, the fact is that if you do not have an organization that's keeping track of like various diseases that are very contagious, that's just going to lead to more fear and panic within the population, because people are not going to know what are the symptoms, and you're just going to create more bedlam eventually.
Yeah, like it's just gonna be worse. Like, we're gonna just go to other countries' news sources for this stuff. We aren't gonna be able to rely on our media,
No,
and people need to see that. They need to know that.
I think they already do to a certain extent. Like, a lot of liberals
Yeah,
in particular are starting to realize that, yeah, we can't rely on their media anymore.
but people aren't really finding the alternatives either.
Yeah, there's not really good alternatives either.
Yeah, and
It's,
that's the big issue of people like us right now. That's why I messaged you, being like, "Look, this pisses me off. I would like to do this."
mm-hmm.
Because seeing nothing in the news tab about that little girl killing herself, that is not the world we should be living in right now.
No, this should not be the world we live in right now. And unfortunately, it's what we got, and we just got to make the most of it. We cannot give in to doomerism. Is one thing I always say. You cannot give in to doomerism. You cannot let these people win, because fascism only is able to win when people do nothing.
Yeah, like
There
now,
are
this does feel like the most I can do. Just talk about it. So
yeah. Talking about it is one way to get it off. However, like I always say in political discourse, and I always mean it, you have to, if you can, try to find any local organization, anything you can find at the local level that you can rely on to help you, or you can help others. So that way you aren't just looking at like Twitter, TikTok, or whatever is your social media of choice, and just doom scrolling, but actually making a difference on the local level. And I know this can happen because we saw that when a bunch of neo-Nazis showed up at a black neighborhood in Ohio and got chased out of there, not because the police showed up, but because the community rallied together to chase them out.
yeah, like I will say, my local area, there's not much. I know there was one group of protesters that's been protesting since I was a kid. Every Sunday when I drove to church, I'd see the group of protesters on the bridge holding the cardboard signs. And like
Yes.
2 years ago, there was a group of protesters outside of my workplace because we were gonna have local news companies over, and they were protesting for Palestine, and they knew this is how they would get their coverage. But after my managers went out and talked, being like, "Look, we get what you're doing. It's a good cause, but we really would prefer if you don't do it in front of our workplace.
Mm-hmm.
They walked away. So like, the area here is very little for that, and growing up in high school and all that, my youth, I wasn't really attached to any group. Like, I was still definitely more liberal than my family, but
Right.
not as radical as I am now. But I'm also a cis white man. So, like, yeah, we had Gender Alliance Club or whatever it was, GSA, and, you know, I wasn't necessarily gay. I definitely didn't hate the gay. I consider myself somewhat of an ally. But that just wasn't the group for me. So, like, as a kid, I didn't go to any of those groups I would be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really in any of those circles locally because of that.
Well, you can always just try to figure out what you can be able to work for, and you just go from there.
But, you know, Maine and locally, very little things happen.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's really all I got.
Yeah, that's really all I got too. I think that really covers the main things to really talk about.
Yeah, I think I can end the stream now. I love the smaller Fred's clip going viral.
Mm-hmm.